go.
And we're live.
Welcome to episode 9 of the Bow and Aaron podcast.
Yeah, we haven't done one the past 3 weeks, I believe.
Or
Is
no,
that
this is
correct, or is it
episode
two?
12. This is episode 12. Yeah, episode 12. My bad. It was
Is
2 weeks
episode
ago, it
12?
says. Well, last week everybody was here, and then the week before that, something else was going on. I can't remember what was going on.
You were sick one of the weeks.
Oh, yeah, I must have been sick or something. Yeah.
But regardless, we are back. And we had an eventful last weekend. Met up. We should have done an IRL podcast. That would have been cool.
Yeah, I don't have the recording shit set up for that at the moment.
Yeah. And I don't have, well, mine's pretty not mobile, so
I
but
mean,
at
we
any
could have done
rate.
it, but the sound would have been like even worse than it already is. So
Yeah, maybe next time. But man, dude, a lot has happened since we last did a podcast. I finished the Lord of the Rings trilogy plus The Hobbit. Um, dude, we did some jujitsu together. That was cool. Climb together.
hmm
And a lot of other time has passed. I don't know if you ever responded to me. How did Nogi go?
it
Did
was
you get a
good.
chance to
I,
show off your
I mean,
skills?
I definitely like am more aware of, like the crucifix and pinning people's arms down and stuff. Um, but I mean, it's going okay. Like it's just everybody in there is like a savage, so I gotta
Gotcha.
like just eke my way forward. I can't go from like where I am to shitting on people in like one day. But I definitely made some improvements. I was more aware of people's free limbs and stuff. All the Nogi dudes are either purple belts or they're like really jacked blue belts that wrestled in college. So it's pretty like intense training room.
Good. Get you some good training partners. Any like D1 college wrestlers or
Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
gotcha. But a lot
I
of wrestling types.
Yeah, for sure. Like trying to think. There's definitely a few wrestlers in there. Like one dude just moved away. He wrestled at Baldwin Wallace, but I don't think that's a D1. That's D3, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds D3.
But
But I
still,
mean
even like a
this
D3 wrestler is pretty intense.
no, yeah, there's a definite step up between like high school and any level of college wrestler. Like we had a lot of our high school wrestlers that went on to wrestle in like D2, D3 college and then would come back to train with the high schoolers and it was just like
Destroy
I
everybody.
mean yeah, well you're just in a different atmosphere in like a college wrestling room. It's
It's
just a
like a
lot more
job, isn't
intense.
it? It's more like
I don't know, I've never been in one, but it's definitely the training's a lot more intense. The level of like the caliber of wrestler in there is a lot higher, so you're getting reps in with really good people.
but also they have like specific recovery, like they have like you wake up at 5 a.m., you lift, and then you get your treatment, and then you go to class, then you go to practice, then you get your treatment again, and blah blah blah.
But it maybe like during season. I don't know if that. I mean, and maybe like with like a D1 program, but a D3 program, I doubt you're getting like cryo treatment as part of the package.
I
But
mean, I'm talking about just like massages and shit.
yeah, I doubt you're getting that either. But I don't know.
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, like,
my brother wrestles at a D1 school, and I don't think he's getting massages every week. But I can ask him.
I'll at least like I know for D1 football, that's how they do it. So
Yeah, but they're pampered, and that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, maybe like Ohio State's wrestling team gets massages every week, but like, I don't think Ashland University is giving massages to the wrestling team,
I mean, like
considering that they don't even
Ashland
have like
University must
scholarship
have
money.
like physical therapy students and stuff that need to. I don't know. I'm just saying like
Yeah, I mean, like in practice, that's great, but I just got a massage today, and I paid $100 for it, so it's not like the demand of massages is in no short supply. I think I would say, and I don't think the wrestling team at any college besides again maybe like Ohio State, Penn State would be the first to receive those massages. I think it would be the football team. But At any rate, I think a responsible athlete, like if you look at the greats, if you look at like Kyle Dake, who was a four-time national champion, I mean that guy had very strict recovery protocols. He had very like what's the word I'm looking for? In uh hmm, innovative, very innovative training techniques that were sport specific, and he got to the top of like the competition. I mean, he's like a world class wrestler now. But when you look at the average college wrestler, even someone that was like really good in high school. Take I don't know Caleb Romero, Ohio State for example. I mean he did pretty well in the NCAAs this year. The dude was like an absolute stud in high school. Never I don't think he ever dropped a match like throughout his whole youth and high school and stuff career. But I'm sure he lives like a normal college life, to an extent. Like I'm sure he takes his training seriously, his studies seriously, his recovery seriously, and is a competitor. But like I'd be lying to you if I wouldn't bet that guy spends a few weekends drinking beer and playing pong. Like there's there's a duality to it. Everyone's a human, and also like I said before, I think the biggest point is that most wrestling programs I don't think have that kind of funding because even like there's something with scholarship money. Like I don't think D3 programs can even offer you on a
No, none of
scholarship.
all of the athletes are going there for like for fun, not for fun, but
Yeah.
like they're paying.
But also the D3s they can I don't know if this is like legal or whatever, but I think they're allowed to say like, "Hey, we can like hook you up sort of thing, but we can't like give you a scholarship." And I
Yeah,
don't know if
I
that's
kind of
like
heard that too.
financial assistance or like help with housing or massages with happy endings. Like, I'm not really sure what that entails. I never pursued athletics in college, but
Yeah, me neither.
again, I could ask my brother for maybe a better insight on this.
I
And
mean,
I don't
surely they got
think
to do more than just like lifting and
I mean, they
practice and
have like I
watching
think
film.
they have special meal plans. Obviously, they're working out as a team and stuff, and they probably have access to like trainers and things for like general injury. In terms of like resting and recovering and like all this like smart kind of training stuff, I think even football programs are kind of just now over the past like 5 years getting into some of the more like not even like fringe. Well, actually, I guess yeah, more like fringe kind of techniques for training or recovery. Think like cryo or blood flow restriction stuff that's been proven in the literature to offer a benefit, but it just like seems weird when juxtaposed with the traditional like weight training protocol of like a college football program where it's just like you know fucking pumping iron, drinking protein shakes, and hitting the field like when you're looking at doing katsu training and like breath work and incorporating yoga and like I think NFL teams even over the past like 5 years have started incorporating like ballet and stuff into the training protocols for some of their players and I think it's great but again I think it's gonna trickle down to the wrestling programs and I don't think it's quite there yet except maybe at like Ohio State or Penn State.
And yeah, when I was in college, I would go to the yoga classes, and sometimes there'd be people from the basketball team there, and
Dude,
I mean, they
yeah.
were like not like there for fun. They were like looking pretty serious. So
When I was in the yoga classes, the only dudes that were college athletes in the classes, I think there might have been one wrestler. He wasn't like a starter. And then there were some gymnasts, some like male gymnasts. But I took like 3 semesters of yoga. That was awesome.
I mean, or like I didn't take the class. I just like went to the ones at the gym. If that or like
I,
yeah, if that makes sense.
I just took the class to keep myself accountable because I knew I wasn't gonna like if there's yoga every Saturday morning, like I'm not gonna show up. But if it's like a class schedule built in, it's like
Yeah.
yeah, well, I got to show up or else I fail. Like, dude, I was literally just for my CASPA application for PA school, I was like transcribing all of my grades on over to their little interface, and yeah, I literally typed out like yoga one, kinesiology, 1 credit hour, A, yoga two.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's gonna hurt you. I need to like
Well,
I
no,
want to
you
like
have
sign
you
up
have to
for a
put all your
yoga
classes.
program, but all the damn classes are like $15 per class. It's like that's kind of a
Yeah,
lot.
that's why I took advantage of it while I was in college.
And
I
it's
was
like
already paying to be there.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just I'm definitely looking to like diversify my stretching a little bit with yoga, but I mean like in college, yeah, like you could just show up and you didn't have to pay like 20 bucks or whatever, but
But in the real world, you do.
yeah. And then like I mean like doing it on the video is fine or whatever, it's just not as fun or immersive or something, I don't know.
Yeah, I did that for maybe a month or two with like a YouTube guide, and I eventually found myself using the guide less and less and just doing my own thing. And then eventually I just kind of stopped kind of doing a normal like hour, every 3 times a week or whatever to do yoga. And then I started just doing kind of like self massage with lacrosse ball and stuff. And then if something felt particularly tight that could be addressed by stretching, I go into it. But like for example, my climbing warm up always begins with basically I always do my banded stuff for my shoulders just to make sure that they have the best chance of staying in socket during the actual workout. But then I'll do like push ups and pull ups as well, just kind of some body
Get the
weight
blood
stuff to get me
flowing.
moving. But in between all of this, I mean, the first thing I do is I get down on the ground and I'm like barefoot. And they have like mats there, not quite. They're not like the puzzle mats, but they're kind of like the black mats that like most gyms have. And then they also have like yoga mats. But anyway, I get down on the mat and I just downward dog and kind of feel what's tight. And then if my hips are feeling tight, I'll do some pigeons and chicken lettuce flounder, maybe some lizards or whatever. But I'll spend maybe 5 to 7 minutes total in between some of these like banded exercises and body weight exercises, doing some yoga poses and not weighing in like too hard on like sitting a minute in like a pigeon because I think static stretching is a little bit counterintuitive to or counterproductive, I guess, to power generation acutely. So if you stretch out a muscle, it's not going to be able to contract as hard in the short term, like the
I mean,
few
yeah, you're
hours
literally
following
lengthening the
that.
muscle, so it's
Yeah.
gonna make it harder to
So
contract to where
so it's not
it's used to.
something. Yeah, it's not something you want to really do right before you climb, right? So I just tend to not do it like super hard, but I'll get down a downward dog and kind of feel what's tight, and then just like whatever feels tight, I'll stretch it out a little as I'm doing my warm up, and bada boom, bada bing, and I do that every session. So I don't have like a block that I do for yoga now. It's kind of evolved, but uh, perhaps you might find it useful to start with the videos and then do it like I did, or start with a class and same
Yeah, we'll
thing.
see. I mean, like in college, like after lifting, I would like religiously go through like my 15-minute stretching sequence, and I was like pretty flexible. Now I only do it like twice a week instead of 5 times a week, so I just gotta find the time that I like to do that again.
Yeah, I would just hesitate to like spend money on it unless you really like the people you're doing the yoga with, or like it really holds you accountable, or
Yeah,
you
I
really like the
mean, yeah,
teacher or
you're
something.
not wrong.
But I mean, it's not
But
like
yeah, like for like working out, I've been reading. I mean, it's I guess it's pretty generally accepted in the people that actually know something that you shouldn't be static stretching before. You should be like if dynamic stretching, if anything, and just
yeah,
like in general, just elevate your heart rate and then do like sport specific movements at a lower intensity, and then go into your workout and then static stretch later in the day.
yep, that tends to sort of be my strategy as well.
But like the old timer way is like you static stretch before, then uh, go do your workout. But anyway.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of the science is kind of coming around to NFL, NBA, a lot of professional sports, to where I mean that's kind of a simpler thing, but the examples I gave earlier were like cryotherapy and stuff like that. People are starting to see the benefit of delving into the literature a little bit instead of just saying like,
This is what worked
oh
for so
yeah,
and so. It's
so
gonna work for
worked
me.
for 50 years,
And I mean, like
raw
that
eggs and
person,
protein
like maybe
shakes.
anything would have worked for that person. Like you don't know, because some people are just like freaks. So
And also, it's not about like the human body is a remarkable like organism. I mean, like you said, it could be genetics, it might be an environmental factor, maybe you just work hard, but like it's not to say that all of this kind of fringe biohacky stuff is is what enables you to be successful. It's more about going from good to great, or going from
Yeah.
80% to like 94%. And it's like, if you want to sit there and like have some moral high ground and argue about like the 10%'s not going to help me, like fine, whatever. If it's too complex, or you get you, you kind of get bogged if the paradox of choices is like a real thing for you, where it's just like your routine becomes too complicated, or like you could do this to help your this system or this and this supplement and that protocol. I could see the argument for simplicity, but beyond that, just like the as an athlete or somebody pursuing like athletics in general, even as a hobbyist, I think it bodes well to kind of look into the literature a bit and be curious from an intellectual standpoint of like human optimization rather
Or
than
at least like see copy what the best people are doing. Like you'll see trends. Like maybe not exactly what the best people are doing, but you'll see like a bunch of people will do cryo, so it's probably not a bad thing to do cryo or stuff like that.
yeah, exactly. And it all trickles down. I don't know where it really starts. Maybe it starts in the Russian labs.
I mean that's where like weightlifting started, or not. I mean, I would say no because the Soviet system is like the foundation of modern lifting. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think it comes from everywhere, and then people are always trying to win, right? And if you want to win, you're gonna always try to search for different ways to help you. So it's like it's arms race, an arms race.
Yep.
And then I don't know, but it kind of like takes away from the fun of watching sports sometimes, though, because everybody's like too perfect, and I like to see random stuff happen. That's why, like even in mixed martial arts, the earlier fights were for me more fun to watch because you just never know what's gonna happen. But like
Dude,
now
I
you
would
can kind
love to
of.
see. I think it would be more fun, even from a viewing standpoint, to just say like, no holds barred. Use whatever drugs, whatever you want to do. No one's gonna get tested. Nothing. You can, be juiced to the gills or not. Do whatever you want to optimize your performance, and then we're performing. Then we're doing every other sport, football, fighting, cycling, whatever you want to do for your sport, and then we'll just see what the best human under the best chemicals that we know of can do. That'd be cool.
Same thing with like basketball and football and baseball. Like the sport's less fun to watch now because everybody's doing basically the same strategy. It's just like who can execute it better. Like in basketball now, it's like either three pointer or easy layup. But like in the '90s and 2000s, everybody had like a different style, and I don't know.
Yeah, but again, it's like it's kind of what you said before, where it's the pursuit of winning, and there's always gonna be, generally speaking, like a meta, most effective tactic, whether it's due to that tactic truly just being the best, or if it's due to like a lot of times and in League of Legends, even barring like nerfs and stuff to specific champions, the public like perception of a champion will like shape the meta. So like even if a champion's not the best, people just thinking the champion's the best and then playing that champion a lot will maybe make another
Yeah.
champion like really good. So it's kind of weird like that, like in sports too. Like a lot of people perceive leg kicks in the UFC to be great, and they really don't. Like they've proven to be good, but I think it's really easy for a tactic to kind of get speculated on like a stock and kind of blow up in popularity a little bit more than it like otherwise would.
Just the problem in like baseball and football and stuff is that you can't. It's the rules are like a lot more set in stone than in like in League of Legends, the game can like basically completely change in like 3 months.
Yeah.
Whereas football and baseball, it's like, yeah, not really. You can change a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be that much different.
Yeah, I think MMA is the exception though, because there's so many modalities of beating the shit out of people that, just kind of cranking up the dial on one and cranking down the dial on the other can result in a spectacularly different fighting style. And if that just starts to predominate, well then you get the phenomenon that I talked about, where people just start to bandwagon it essentially, and then you get a bunch of leg kickers or a bunch of grapplers or
Yeah.
a bunch of
Yeah, I mean
Khabibs.
that's why it's like my favorite sport to watch because it's like I mean, there's still that element of chaos, like where you don't know what's gonna happen. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's definitely more interesting than like in like any given football or baseball game. And like I don't know, there's not gonna be some weird strategy that somebody uses anymore because everybody's seen everything. So
Yeah, I mean, and occasionally you see it in football where someone just pulls out some crazy shit. And baseball, I don't watch baseball, so I can't really speak to that. Basketball, I feel like you never see any crazy shit.
I mean,
But
yeah, like you see crazy athletic feats, but you don't
yeah,
see like
yeah,
some new
but
kind of play
like
where
some tomfoolery.
yeah. Whereas in like MMA, like there's people that like cartwheel all around the octagon. There's people that like never kick. I don't know. It's just there's a lot more variety. It seems like,
No, yeah, I completely agree.
and there's people that like they don't have their guard up. Like they just put their hands by their side. Like it's just there's more, uh, just more variety. So
Completely agree.
and it's crazy. It's on like UFC is like almost it's like borderline mainstream because it's on ESPN all the time now. It's even like I still think it's
I
weird
think
to
it is
see.
mainstream.
You think so? I don't think
Yeah,
it's.
I think something that would be considered borderline mainstream, at least in like America, would be like Formula One or like
I feel like
soccer.
soccer's mainstream, bro.
Yeah, that's why I kind of hesitated when I said that.
Because there's a lot of like soccer fans. I
There are a
mean,
lot of soccer fans.
especially or and like the soccer fans will be like fans of their local city's team, but they'll also watch like
Yeah,
all the European
yeah.
teams.
No, dude, I had a lot of fun watching. I think it was the Euros where England was in the finals and it came down to penalties in like the last game. I had a lot of fun watching that. And I am not from England and I've never watched football, but it was cool. I can
Yeah,
see
like
the appeal.
I guess like the part of MMA that it's not, it'll never be like as popular is because the pay per views are always like late at night and it's a pay per view, so it's like less accessible to the masses, I guess. Whereas like college
Yeah,
football is like Saturday at like starting at noon.
I I have to agree with that. I don't a lot of times I don't appreciate the UFC timing, but like I mean you got to agree in terms of like a live event, the timing and the venues they pick really make it like a spectacle and
Well, yeah,
it's
because you got to like promote the fight and hype up the fight. It's because there's no teams, right? There's just fighters, so it's like a different style of promotion.
yeah, but I'm saying even like having it late at night in a big venue in Las Vegas just like it it does a lot to sell it as like a performance rather than having like the fight pass that we watched when we were hanging out. That was like a small little venue at like 7 p.m. It wasn't nearly as
Yeah.
hype, even though the fights were good. It wasn't nearly as hype as like McGregor versus Khabib at the MGM at midnight almost.
Yeah, I
And
just I rewatched that fight the other day. Dude, Khabib like like it was bad. Like
yeah,
I
dude,
didn't
he's
think
a
it was as
fucking
bad as it
animal.
was. He like yeah, he manhandled it. It was
He
embarrassing.
literally, he's a bear, dude. What happened is he McGregor was like a lost hiker. Khabib was like a mama bear, and his cubs were like, in the corner behind McGregor. And dude, also Wallop, Khabib and McGregor fought twice. Didn't you say they fought once? I think
No, they
because
fought once, bro.
so they fought one time, and the only time they fought, that whole fight broke out with like the religion thing or whatever.
It was because he made fun of his dad, or McGregor
Uh,
was shit talking
damn.
Khabib's dad.
I could
Yeah,
have
they only
sworn they
fought
fought one
once.
time before that. Yeah, but anyway, so what happened in my perception was Mother Bear senses the threat, mauls him, goes in for the initial mauling, gets him hurt, and then just stalks him down. McGregor's walking through the woods, and then he had his blood trail, and he just every so often he'd pop out behind a tree and maul him again, and then go back behind the tree, and he just keeps stalking him. And eventually he came in for the kill, just fucked him up. But
I
he's
mean, yeah,
ruthless,
like,
dude.
and I was watching now that I know a little bit more about grappling. Like Connor was defending, he was doing everything right for the grappling defense, but Khabib was just so dominant that he just powered through it, and then McGregor maybe won the third round, and then yeah, Khabib took his back in the fourth round, and Fulcrum choked him.
Yeah, it's insane. McGregor just the only chance he had that fight was keeping him on his feet at range the entire time, and
I
that's
think
just
his only
like
chance was like landing a lucky left hand,
yeah. But how are you gonna do
basically.
that? You had to do that on your feet at range. And you just can't do that against Khabib. That's actually, I'm so sad that he's not fighting anymore.
And well, like Gaethje hit Khabib in the first round. He like wobbled Khabib in the first round, but that's like the most Khabib's ever been like hurt ever. I feel like, which
I
is
didn't
pretty
see
crazy.
that. I need to watch that fight.
It's probably on YouTube, but
I
it's
would
a good fight.
imagine.
It's like classic Khabib. Like the first round, dude, Gaethje's leg kicks are pretty nuts too. It's like a gunshot, and then he's pretty brutal. He's fighting tonight actually
Oh,
against
I see. It's
Oliveira.
Saturday.
It
I
was
keep thinking
for
it's Sunday.
Yeah, it was for the title fight, but Oliveira missed weight, so it's not a title fight anymore.
Damn, dude.
I
I
mean,
mean, he's probably
apparently,
cutting a lot more than I've ever cut, but I can't imagine missing weight. That's got to be the most embarrassing thing
and he was
ever.
the fucking champion, and he missed weight. Like that's bad.
If you missed weight, if you were like a varsity wrestler on my team and you missed weight, you were running like the whole next week. Like,
And you should
yeah,
be, because like that's
yeah,
your job is
exactly.
to like make weight.
There's literally zero excuse for not making weight. Like, coach would get mad when people came in like, a lot of people came in like one over or whatever, and if you're doing like a 20-pound cut, that's sort of understandable. But the people that are cutting like 5 pounds, they come in like
That's
one,
easy. You
two
could lose
pounds
five
over.
pounds in like a day,
It's like,
probably.
and then you ask them, you're like, bro, what'd you have for dinner last night? And they actually start saying what they had for dinner last night instead of just saying like, I didn't eat last night because I want to lose the last 2 pounds and that's the easiest way to do it. And then I'll have my meal after weigh-ins at 7 a.m. You just start shaking your head like it's like, dude, you just don't get
Yeah, I
it.
mean, Oliveira's the like it's different though. He literally has people like that are supposed to help him lose weight and like monitor his diet and stuff. And oh my goodness, and he threw away millions of dollars by missing weight since he vacated the belt. So he's not going to get peak
Oh damn,
pay per view points. And I think he forfeits like if he, I mean, regardless of whether he wins or loses, he forfeits like a huge amount of his purse to Gaethje, regardless of the outcome. So
damn. That's I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not deserved, but
it
fuck,
sucks.
that's
It sucks because
brutal.
it ruins the hype of the fight too. Because like that fight was about to be really interesting. Now it's just like, whatever.
Dude, I would like if I was in that scenario wait, so Oliveira missed weight and then Gaethje's fighting him.
Yeah. So
Yeah, if I was
Gaethje could win
Gaethje,
the
like I
belt
would be
still, but
pissed.
yeah.
I would win that fight and then call him a pussy for not making weight.
But yeah, it's pretty like I don't think the champion has ever missed weight in any UFC event ever. So I don't know
Damn,
about
I
mixed
thought
martial arts as a whole, but
I thought UFC was a little bit more like lax on weight too.
well, it is for like non-belt fights. You can go a pound above, but for belt fights, it has to be on the dot.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, he's gonna be thinking about that one for a little while, I reckon.
Literally fucking millions of dollars because you couldn't just like eat like one less burger or something. I mean, half a pound is like 1,600 calories, right? So that's like yeah, it's literally like a burger and some fries worth of food.
He missed about half a pound.
Yeah, well, in the UFC's like weigh-in thing, you can weigh in, and if you don't make weight, you can have another hour to lose the weight. And he didn't lose the like he weighed in at 155 and a half, came back an hour later and still weighed at 155 and a half, which means like
He's
his body.
literally retarded.
I mean, like
Holy shit.
apparently his body was like literally fully depleted to 155 and a
Okay.
half. Like there was
I'll have
nothing.
to see what he looked like, but dude,
He did
an
not look
hour.
good, man. He looked like a zombie up there. Like it was bad. His eyes were like sunken into his face and everything.
Did he look worse than McGregor did at like 145 or whatever?
Um, I mean, his body looked better, but his like face and eyes just looked totally gone.
Damn. Well, then my guess is he probably wasn't cutting weight the right way. But dude, an hour to lose a half a pound, you can't do that. You're either next level fucked up or an absolute brain dead
I think he was
chimpanzee.
like he like almost died to cut to 155 and like he couldn't start sweating again and get the thing because I think his body was like literally totally depleted.
That's fucked.
So, because I mean, like the way these dudes do cuts is like they cut the maximum amount of weight possible. So he just must have started off at a bad weight, I guess. But
Yeah, that's
and
a
like
yikes.
Reddit was all ablaze, and I'm sure Uncle Dana must be furious, absolutely furious about this, because it
I would. If I was Dana, I'd be pissed.
be like, what the fuck, and like his face all turns red, and he's like, yeah. But we'll see
Starts
what he says
molding,
after
quite
this.
literally.
Yeah, Reddit always says tomato mode or tomato Dana, so pretty funny.
Yeah, that's brutal. I mean, what's the UFC card? Actually, no, it's right here.
275. So 274, 274. And the early prelims start at 5:30 today, so
I mean, I see what you mean in terms of his face, but I also think that's sort of just his facial
no, but
structure.
like look at if you watch a video, like look at his eyes and
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch the video right now. I'm just looking at images. Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean, but dude, an hour to lose a half a pound, like, yeah, sucks. Bad RNG. What did he? How much did he lose in the hour? Did he lose anything, or did he just say? Did he just throw in the towel? Because I've been, dude. I think it might have been at like state or something. I don't know if it was an event that I was wrestling at or an event that my brother was wrestling at. But there was or if it was an event that we were just spectating. But it was a pretty like an event that you wouldn't want to just like forfeit, like a high level wrestling event, like state finals, national finals, something like that. And one of the favored guys literally just threw in the towel, dude. He was like a half a pound off, an hour outside of weigh-ins or something, and then just said fuck it and started eating. And like it came to weigh-ins and like he had like a smile on his face when he's eating shit like right before he weighed in, the story goes. And he gets on the scale and was like 5 over, but he literally just gave up. And I was like, holy shit, dude.
yeah, I
Weak
mean that's
mental.
like the hardest part of these combat sports. I think isn't the actual fighting or training. It's the stupid weight cuts. It's ridiculous. I think.
Yeah. I never was a hard cutter in high school.
I mean, like,
Uh,
it's so bad for you too. Like, it puts a crazy amount of stress on your organs and stuff. And it can't. Yeah, it's got to be horrible for your body.
Yeah, I think there's a right way to do it though. That's
I mean, there's a
I
way to
mean,
do it that like minimizes like deleterious health outcomes. But
well, I think the right way to do it, the first thing is you might have to come to grips with the fact that you're going to be wrestling the weight class above what like the, minimum possible weight class might be. And then the second thing is just like the fact that when so I think the mistake a lot of the people on my team made at least is they were their weight looked like a sinusoidal wave, like a pretty pronounced sinusoidal wave when
yeah,
it came to competitions and stuff, that like fluctuating by magnitudes of like 12, 15, 20 pounds depending on some of the higher weight classes. And mine maybe fluctuated a total of 5, and that's in the plus and minus direction. So I never had to cut much, but I was also working out almost at like 5, 6 times a week and eating a lot of food and recovering well to be able to maintain a lower body fat, lower body weight, and to feel good. And then when it came time to weigh in, it was like I said, you're just kind of skipping dinner and doing a little bit extra the night before in terms of like sweating it out, and that's an easy 5 pounds off of me at least, but I wasn't a gaunt UFC fighter, so
yeah.
I don't know. Perhaps I casted initially a harsh judgment on him not being able to lose half a
No,
pound in
I
an
mean he's the
hour,
champ.
but
He's
like,
the champion of the world. Like he should know how to miss. And he's fought in
yeah,
like 35 fights. He should know how to cut weight by now. It's his fault completely. And I do feel bad for him. It's also like at the same time I don't. So I feel like they need to
yep,
add more weight, either add more weight classes or have like the weigh in like like a little bit closer to the fight or do a hydration test. I don't know, because it's kind of ridiculous, man. Like I'm not really watching the 155-pound guys fight. That's like they're when they in the octagon, they're like 170 plus. It's like a
Yeah.
welterweight fight.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the solution is. I mean, like, trust me, I've heard this conversation is oft debated in high school wrestling circles, and no, like even using like sauna suits and stuff is illegal in high school wrestling. Or I don't know if it'll be like you're not gonna get prosecuted in a court of law, but it's you're not allowed to do it under like OHSA rules. So there's that, and like everyone did that.
Yeah, I
So
mean, like in
it's
MMA, the weight classes are huge. It's 125, 35, 45, 55. Then from 55 to 70, 70 to 85, 85 to 205. Like those are huge jumps in
yeah.
between lightweight and middle or light heavyweight.
No, I mean yeah, you have a point there.
But then you can go too far where boxing is like super duper cruiser feather bantamweight, and it's like every 2 pounds, and that's kind of ridiculous. So I don't know what the answer is. Because you don't want to water down the belts. Because like if you have like 50 UFC belts, who cares, right? But
Yeah,
if you have like
that's what they recently did in wrestling to make it like a better spectator sport was try to reduce the amount of weight classes. I don't remember if that was like a high school thing or a college thing, but they were talking about I think it was a high school thing, moving from 14 weight classes to 10 makes it a bit,
yeah,
you
like
know.
it makes it better for the spectator, but it makes it worse for the yeah. I feel like there's got to be a way to make people not like death cut 25 pounds to make weight, but
But at the end of the day, it's like we said, if there was like a no holds barred league where you can just do whatever the fuck you want in pursuit of being the best at any cost, it would be like copious amounts of PEDs and
I mean
weight
that's what the
cutting
early
till the
UFCs like 1 through like
brink of
8
death.
were like in Pride in the early 2000s. Literally like open weight classes, just do whatever, show up. Which again, that's why I think
Half
it
of
was more
them showed
entertaining.
up wearing gis. That was funny as
Yeah,
hell.
you show up in gis and wrestling shoes. It's yeah, it was awesome.
Dude, imagine you head kick someone with a wrestling shoe.
Imagine choking somebody with a gi and they don't have a gi, which actually happened several times.
What, using your gi to choke them?
Yeah, Hoist
Yeah,
Gracie choked Ken Shamrock with his own gi. He
that's
got on his
awesome.
back and choked him with his gi.
That's like bringing a weapon, basically.
Yeah, and then but it's funny because they didn't let Ken Shamrock bring his wrestling shoes in. Uh,
What? That's scam.
that was for UFC one, but then the other ones, uh, they did. But
They didn't want him to head kick Mr. Gracie.
yeah, dude, Ken Shamrock was so crazy. He was legit, and he looked. I mean, he was on like he was a freaking pharmacy. If you like Google a picture of Ken Shamrock in his fighting days, he looks like a cartoon character basically. Like it's actually ridiculous.
They just didn't test, didn't
No,
care.
no, no. They didn't start testing until like whenever George St. Pierre like his first retirement because he basically retired because he knew a ton of people were doing steroids all the time and he wasn't and he didn't like that. So let me do some quick Google. That was in 2013. Uh was when his first retirement happened, and then they implemented testing in like 2016, and then he came back in 2017 and fought for the middleweight belt. So,
Gotcha. I didn't know
but
that.
but I mean like you can still use drugs when there's that testing. It's just you have to like there's stuff they can't detect probably and
Yeah, well, I mean, seen the documentary Icarus, and the whole premise of that is like evading the detection, but um, yeah, one way or another.
especially like NFL football. I feel like a ton of those dudes are using HGH and stuff. Like they have to be. because they're just all like
Well,
too freakishly huge. I mean, unless they're like literally just all genetic anomalies, but I feel like they got to be using HGH or something.
I don't know, dude. I mean, NFL football players are kind of like selected because they're
Yeah,
genetic anomalies. Like, I don't know. I think you can like they're not mutually exclusive. I think you can take HGH and be a genetic anomaly, and that's what landed you in the NFL in the first place.
and like I guess like HGH is harder to test for or something. I don't know. Or like
I have
you can
no
go on
idea.
HGH for a while and then go off it, and like you got the benefits and you keep the benefits or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like I think with any of those drugs, there's a question of so in pharmac or pharmacokinetics, I think specifically, there's this concept of the area under the curve when you're looking at like drug response. And the area under the curve is basically a function of dose or plasma concentration, like the amount of drug being, circulating around in your body, being exposed to all your little innards, and time on the x-axis. So, when you draw that function out, get the integral or whatever the area under the
Right.
curve is, that is a basically a surrogate way of looking at like the total exposure to the drug, right? So now when you're looking at like testosterone or HGH or any of these things that allow you to be, better, faster, stronger, even like male to female transitions, it's like, yo, hold up, like how big is that x-axis? Because when you're looking at a rectangle, the area is base times height, and it's roughly the same for calculating a rectangle with one wavy side on the top. And it's like
Yeah.
if that base or height starts increasing, like fuck man, like this person has a lot of benefit, and you can't ignore that time component. So it's like, yeah, it's undetectable in the bloodstream right now, but like, if we're looking at a time graph, let's look, bump it to the left a little bit, hit that arrow key to the left, and let's take a glance at what's kind of been happening in the past, because I think working out's like anything. Like if I show up to a spelling bee, me and you show up to a spelling bee, and then all of a sudden you've realized that like 5 years ago I just like went ham baloney on the dictionary and the encyclopedia and like trained for spelling bees, but I haven't done it in a while. It's undetectable. I haven't touched. You can look at my fingers. You can look at all the books in the world. My
Yeah.
fingerprints are on none of them right now, but I have that previous knowledge, that previous exposure to the content. So I'm gonna wipe the floor with your ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I guess like again with that winning thing we were talking about earlier, like if winning is the ultimate goal, you have to do whatever it takes to win, regardless of the ethics of it, because you can't rule out the possibility that the other parties are also doing that.
Well,
It's
yeah, but
complete
then
ignorance.
once you just said the word ethics, the first thing that you'll like, if you walk into an ethics classroom and there's an ethics professor there and you ask him that question, or you pose that to him, you say, yeah, so assuming winning's the ultimate goal, the first thing they're gonna say is, oh, is winning the ultimate goal? And then they'll eventually the answer will be no, because then you'll concede like, oh well, I wouldn't like if I was in a football game and I knew that I could like get away with this really cheap hit on somebody and like literally have a 50% chance of like paralyzing them for life or killing them, but I know that it'll take their like receiver out of the game and my team's gonna get to the Super Bowl, like are you gonna do that? And they put you in that scenario and you're like, oh no, well I don't think I would do that. and,
I don't
and
know.
then it's like,
I have to disagree with you on that one because they used to have bounties for players and like headhunt players. Like,
dude, I'm not gonna say that some people don't
oh,
think
okay,
that. Like,
gotcha.
there's sociopaths, there's ruthless people, and it's like there's a lot of stuff that I would do to win that I wouldn't like. So, for example, I have had a lot of injuries. It is probably no surprise. I'm sure I've told the audience shit many times over that I have two bad shoulders and a bad knee. I have a lot of injuries from wrestling, and one was from climbing, but I think it was accrued from wrestling. But that's neither here nor there. So in training, I'm never gonna do something to like really compromise my shoulder, possibly put it out of socket. The number one goal in training is to stay healthy. The number two goal is to get better every day.
Yeah, develop toe skill.
And if I'm in a competition though, and it's like, the gold medal's on the line and I know that like I can pull some shenanigans to have a pretty good shot at winning, but also have a pretty good shot at like hurting myself and going undergoing like another surgery. I'm probably gonna do it, depending on like what the stakes are. But I would never do that in the training gym, sort of thing. So there's lengths that people would go to definitely when it comes to competition that they wouldn't go to otherwise. I'm just saying I think a lot of people that say like, yeah, dude, winning's the ultimate goal. If you sit them down with somebody and you're like, all right, would you, essentially you can reduce it. It's like, would you kill or rape or do any of these like basically the most atrocious things that you could do to somebody to win? And then eventually they'd probably say no. But some people would say yes. I mean, there's a lot of people that like kill and rape and steal for fun.
Like
And
that skater lady who put a hit on the other skater. I can't remember her name. Or no, she like
I'm
beat
I'm
the
not
other skater
familiar.
with a crowbar at the Olympics because she didn't want to. It was in like the 80s. I can't remember her name. It's
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this story.
Tanya Harding. Yeah, Tanya Harding. She hired some chick or some dude to like break her competitor's fucking leg with a crowbar.
That's awesome.
Oh man. Oh jeez.
Yeah, that's my spiel on that. I think it'd still be cool to see though. No, untested every sport. Do what you
Yeah,
want
I
to
mean
do.
when baseball was juicy, like it was a crazy. Everybody was hitting. People were hitting like 70 home runs in a season, and they were all like jacked and whatever. Football,
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna say I think is juicy a little bit with the HGH and shit. I really think it's juicy, not steroids necessarily, but
yeah,
basketball,
fair,
I don't
fair
know.
enough.
And then MMA is probably as juicy as it can be. But I mean, you can see after they implemented that drug testing thing, like a lot of people that were like very
It got smaller.
cartoon looking started to look more like normal people. So
Yeah, I think Rogan said something about that and showed some like before and after pictures. And I'm like, yeah,
yeah, I mean, if you see like Alistair Overeem or like
yeah, that was one of the ones he showed.
Vitor Belfort, TJ Dillashaw, I mean, yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
noticeable. But anyway,
And that's another thing too that I don't think taking drugs is nearly as big of an ethical question as like killing somebody, but
I mean, it's got to be like both. If both sides like take it, then whatever.
I think the
Um,
bigger the bigger like ethical consequence there is like you're perverting the competition, you're hurting your competitors, and like I think a lot of people that take the drugs probably just try not to think about that.
well, yeah, I mean, but think about it like this though. Like they got to win to make money make to like live.
Yeah,
So
that's what
between
they're thinking of. That's what
yeah,
I'm saying. They're minimizing the bad and thinking about like the good.
like especially like some of these NFL players, like if I get injured and I can't play, I might never play again because the dude behind me might be better than me. So they do all kinds of crazy shit to like and go out there and play like pretty much until they literally physically can't play.
Yep.
But
Like I
it's a
said, it
tough
depends
tough
on
way to
what
make a
the
living.
stakes are. Depends on what the stakes are, what you're gonna be willing to do.
Well, that's about all I have to talk about for today. I don't know if you have anything
Yeah.
else.
Let's see. So, has there been any new news on the Rings of Power? I saw a recent article that said people were like super unhappy with it, but I didn't know if there was like a new evolution or if they were just unhappy with like what we originally said. Because it seemed like I took a cursory glance over one of the articles, and the main complaints leveled at the franchise currently seem to be due to casting concerns, which is kind of what we already addressed, but I didn't know if they'd released further footage or what these
No,
characters.
there hasn't been any new trailers or anything other than that teaser trailer.
Gotcha.
And the
Okay.
Vanity Fair article a couple months ago was still the last biggest, like the biggest thing that sent ripples through the community.
Gotcha. So it's going to be taking place in the Second Age
Yeah,
and
technically, yeah.
focusing on the kings of Numendor.
Probably. I don't know. Like they really haven't released that much about it yet, other than Galadriel and Elrond. and they're gonna do a story that's like Baron and Luthien, but with two different characters, and they're gonna have hobbits, but they're not really hobbits. That's about all we know.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, fair enough. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
have
the
anything
Obi-Wan
besides that.
Kenobi show though comes out in 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not a huge Star Wars guy.
Well, I am, so I have to mention it now that we're talking about May 27th. So that's what I'm
Good.
looking forward to.
I'm happy for you. I
I
hope it's as
appreciate your good vibes.
I hope it's as good as you're hoping. I hope it's
Me
better
too.
than you're hoping.
It's like this could be the make or break. I mean, this is the make or break for me because they were gonna make an Obi-Wan movie, but then they canceled it. But now they're making the show, which is even better. But it's not Dave Filoni producing the show. It's Kathleen Kennedy, which if for Star Wars fans, like Dave Filoni, anything he touches turns to gold, and anything Kathleen Kennedy touches turns to shit. So we'll see what happens.
Damn. So it's gonna turn to shit.
It depends on how much she has to do with it. I
She's
really,
directing
really
it,
hope
bro. I
it's
think
that
she's
it's
gonna
a
have a
good
lot
show.
to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, but like it could just like she could be named as a producer, but she might be letting the other people do more of the like work. I don't know. I don't know how it works with these like make TV show things because sometimes
Dude, that doesn't sound like Kathleen McDougal to me.
sometimes like the producers like go ham and like make most of the show, and then sometimes they kind of just like let the director and writers do most of it. I really don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, well, I guess I hope it goes as best as it can with Kathleen McDougal producing.
All right, I am ready to wrap up episode 12.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully, the fights will be good tonight, and hopefully, Oliveira will learn how to eat less hamburgers next time he fights.
So if Gaethje wins, he gets the vacated belt.
Yeah, if Gaethje wins, he gets the belt. If Oliveira
Okay,
wins, the title is vacant.
gotcha. I'm cheering for Gaethje then.
Yeah, Gaethje deserves to win this, I think,
Screw
because he,
Oliveira.
he gets screwed over big time if he loses. Basically, like because this will be his second title attempt. Um, so I think he might be done after this. He's gonna have like a long road back to the belt if he loses. I think.
Gotcha. Yep. Team Gaethje signing out.
All right, peace.
Peace.